everyone, and welcome to the Wright Perspective. Today, we're going to recap and review the 1992 romantic comedy Boomerang. And before we even get into it, stop right now and take a minute to like, share, subscribe on this platform that you're using right now and every platform that you use. Audio,
all of them.
video, get it
Everybody,
done.
get it.
Okay.
What else are you doing? Is the question. What else are you doing?
Go
Why
click the
haven't you
YouTube
subscribed?
and just click
Hello.
up, thumbs up, and then click back up. You know,
Everything.
You could actually be done right now. You just did it like right at the second, you know?
I want to say something that when you said that this is a rom-com, I didn't even realize that that's what this was.
Really?
I didn't even put that genre in my brain, but
What did you feel like?
I think that I put all Black movies as their own genre.
I
think I have a genre in my brain called Black movie.
That's how the man wants you to think about it.
And then everything
just one
else.
thing, like we don't got no nuance.
Like within Black movies,
Don't let him win.
Romantic.
Don't let him win. Don't let the man win.
But in my brain, it is just one genre that is diverse within the one genre. It doesn't make any sense. But I just realized that in this moment when I was like, rom-com? Really?
Well, sis, honestly, you're now getting to, and we can circle back to it once we get into our discussion. But something I wanted us to talk about is, our definition of hood film and whether this fits.
Yeah, I was, because to me,
that's a little teaser of discussion to come.
Okay, all right, you're right. I was about to talk on it right now.
I know, it's tricky.
All right, let's go.
Or we can do it right now. Should we do it right now?
No, we can talk about it right now.
Okay.
We could go through.
Okay, so let me give some background then. Okay. So Boomerang was directed by Reginald Hudlin, one of the Hudlin brothers, loving them. Okay. And Warrington Hudlin is listed as a producer. The movie stars Eddie Murphy, Robin Givens, Halle Berry, David Alan Grier, Martin Lawrence, Grace Jones, Eartha Kitt, Chris Rock. And it was the 18th highest grossing film in North America in 1992, earning over $131 million on a budget of $42 million. It was nominated for several MTV Movie Awards, and the soundtrack reached number 4 on the US Billboard 200 and reached number 1 on the top R&B hip hop albums chart. And by 1995, the soundtrack had reached triple platinum status. Okay.
And
3 years later,
all 3 of them.
There you go.
Wow.
And I wanted to, did y'all know that there was a TV show sequel to the movie that ran?
No, I didn't actually.
It ran for 2 seasons on BET from 2019 to 2020.
Yep. It was good.
Did you watch all of it, sis?
I did. I watched every episode. I was so sad because it was one of those things where you knew that it was ending. They kind of wrapped up people's stories. And I'm like, no, it's too soon. It's too quick. But they did a good job. I thought everyone was well.
It was written to follow the lives of Jacqueline Boyer's son and Marcus and Angela Graham's daughter as they try to step out of their parents' shadows and make a legacy of their own. Lena Waithe was one of the creators, and Halle Berry was actually one of the executive producers.
It was good.
I watched the first 2 episodes last night, and I thought it was good. I thought it could have had any type. Like I didn't know if it necessarily related to Boomerang.
Yeah,
the movie. Now did the Boomerang title make sense for the show that it was? It did. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's a whole other discussion about what it means for a TV show to be a sequel and what criteria it would need to have to actually feel like a sequel.
I can see that.
It felt to me like a very standalone product. But anyway, the point is,
but isn't that what you're supposed to do? Like you're supposed to say, you have the essence.
Because we've talked about reboots. We've talked about remakes. This is a sequel that is a whole other, like it was a sequel to a movie in television. Have we talked about that? Like, what are our feelings?
It doesn't happen. I don't think it happens often enough to even
discuss it.
Like I can't think of another example of a movie that was sequeled into a television. I'm sure it's there.
Yeah.
But I can't even.
They did it with the Best Man series.
It was a sequel.
Yeah, remember they made a television show for a little bit?
Just one season.
Season, just to wrap it all up.
So it's a Black movie thing then. so far. As far,
well, just that's the only other example I'm thinking of right now on the spot.
okay,
Yeah, but I'm sure there has to be. I'm sure there has to be.
I know
something.
another one. I know another one. What We Do in the Shadows. That is a movie that.
But is it considered a sequel? Because it just felt like
you're right.
A continuation.
Yeah, that wasn't it. I got another one.
That's right.
I got another one about this. It was about this serial killer dude. What was that?
Well, this is something for our audience to weigh in on the comments, y'all. Are there other examples that we're just not thinking of? And how do you feel about this? About something that was like a movie, and then like decades later, it's like, now we're making a television show that's the sequel. How do y'all feel about that? I mean, anyway, so that's not what we're here to review today.
Mr. In Between.
That's the serial killer one you were trying to think of?
Well, he's an assassin. Okay. It's a comedy show. The show is about basically shoot it like a mockumentary, the first movie. And it's like these people following around this hitman in his real life. And the whole thing is like, we're not going to release this until you're dead, or, and anyway, they made that into, it's like, he's like a regular guy with a daughter, but he's a hitman. And so anyway, that was another one.
That sounds like it could be funny. I have questions. What does his family think he does? Okay, anyway, we'll get back to another time. Yeah. So y'all, everything we've talked about related to the movie Boomerang, okay, all of that, again, and a reminder, this movie made a lot of money, $131 million on a budget of $42 million. And it actually came in an arc in Eddie Murphy's career where the two movies he had right before apparently didn't do well in the box office. So he needed a win, and he got it. Okay. But so that's a lot of success that this movie had. And for some, these facts would be enough to consider this movie a classic. But today we will determine whether it is a classic from the Wright perspective. We'll do a recap, we'll discuss the movie, and then we'll take a vote with a voting symbol that we will pick, especially for this discussion. But we always start with intros. Kick us off, bro.
Hi, I'm Aubrey Wright. I'm the oldest.
I'm Genia Wright. I'm the middle.
I am Brittany Wright, and I'm the youngest.
And y'all, let's get right into picking our voting symbol. Okay. And I want to start, y'all, because I have two. This season, I've been trying to narrow it down to one in my mind before I even bring them out.
But you had two. Got it.
I have two. The first one is a shoulder pad. Okay. Now.
What? On the planet.
Yeah. Clearly, everybody was wearing them.
What's happening?
The thing about a shoulder pad is that it's manipulating the eye, to misrepresent who you are, right? And there's also a version of shoulder pads I'm thinking about, like in sports. Yes, it is November, so clearly football has been on. James has been watching football around the clock, okay? And then those are shoulder pads that are meant to protect the parts of you that are considered vulnerable. Okay. But at the end of the day, you have to take them off. And there you are. Okay. You're vulnerable.
With your low regular shoulders.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Your shoulders are not square. Okay. They are round.
And they don't go to your ears.
And they're vulnerable. And so there always comes a point where your truth, where you're going to have to live in your truth. It just happens. And I feel like that's what this movie is about. That we all have personas we put together, and they work when they work, but sometimes they don't. Because you just something will happen to remove your shoulder pad, or something will come at you when your shoulder pads are off, and you got to be able to deal with that. The other idea that I came up with was a leash. And this was actually James's recommendation, to be honest with you. I don't know if I even want to take credit for it. Okay. Because, but it's good though, because you remember in the beginning of the movie, the Marcus character, he uses the leash as a ruse to kind of get a woman, with his using his like Playboy antics, to manipulate a woman into going out with him. And it's a woman that he does, he sleeps with her. We never see her again. Okay. And then later in the movie, like a boomerang, he then gets like a proverbial leash put on his heart by a woman, and so part of what ends up happening is what he has done to other people comes back on him. And it is about attachment. About getting attached when the other person doesn't feel attached, unreciprocated attachment. And so a leash is a good symbol for that. So those are my two voting symbols. Bro, did you come up with any?
Yeah, I really thought, but I could not, like, there wasn't anything that really like spoke to me as far as a symbol.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I just, the one that I came up with that was kind of, admittedly, maybe a little tongue-in-cheek, would just be a bottle of the Strong J. That was, but that's just because I don't have any deep thoughts, of course, about that. But it's just, when I think of that movie, that's
yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one, because
so I thought of a bottle of Strong J, but I did, so I'll submit that as my one, but I'm not fully, you know, I feel like yours were both much better thought out.
I like the Strong J though, because there's something in that. Again, I feel like there's something artificial. You know, you put on perfume, that is not how you smell. You know what I mean? It's like, but then it's like, what are you doing? You're trying to entice. You're trying to manipulate. You're putting on a persona.
She even made it deep. But the thing is,
such an amazing job.
The reason why I thought about it, your deep explanation applies, of course. There's always a logical line. But I just remember after that movie came out, it had many things. But one thing that everybody was saying was Strong J, Strong J, Strong J. And so
people still say that. And I didn't know that that's where that came from.
Look, we're getting too far. Stop.
I didn't know. Okay.
Hammer time.
Stop. Yes. Go ahead.
Hold pause discussion.
Yes.
Sis, what about you? Any ideas?
Woman's toes.
All right.
What's going on today?
Well, for those who are regulars to the podcast, you're not disappointed.
That one.
You're not disappointed because you knew it was going to happen.
He was judging women based off of their toes.
I know, but I don't know.
This is an intricate part of this movie. He did it with all the women. I think except for Halle Berry. I don't remember him looking at her toes. But he looked at all these women's toes, which makes that even more deep. Because if he didn't look at Halle Berry's toes and he was madly in love with her, that lets him know how superficial he was.
There's no way a footman is falling in love unless the toes are well. They don't all have to look the same, but they have to be well kept.
They got to be together.
They got to be well kept.
They got to have them together.
Like, because you can't control size and shape and all that. Like, you can't control that. But you can control maintenance.
Yes. So I don't remember him looking at Halle Berry's feet. Did he look at Halle Berry's feet? I don't
But
remember.
I'm saying it's implied.
Either way.
If she didn't have foot maintenance, he wouldn't have fell in love.
Either way, woman's feet. You see how it already sparked a discussion? Thank you. You're welcome.
You're absolutely welcome.
You're not haters to the left of them, haters to the right of them.
You're not wrong. But I'm just not at the end of this podcast saying I give Boomerang my women's toe.
Exactly. Well manicured toes.
We have 4 options. 3 are great, 1 is dumb.
Exactly. Not mine though.
We don't have to get specific about which one is dumb, but one is.
Yeah,
okay, and
all my life I had to fight.
Which one are we gonna go with?
We could go with Strong J. You're welcome. I chose.
All right.
I think that's good.
All right. She chose.
So at the end,
we've experienced this a lot in life. Okay.
Right. At the end of this podcast, this movie must receive 3 bottles of Strong J. If it receives 0, 1, or 2,
so
it will not be considered a classic from the Wright perspective. The stakes are high. All right, so let's now do a quick recap. Spoiler alert, if you're new to our podcast, we do a recap just because our content is generally it's in the archives. And we pull it out, we dust it off, now we're looking at it.
That's right.
So we do a little recap real quick just to make sure, you remember the main parts. And then also, if you haven't seen the movie, but you still want to be in our super fun conversation, you got the main details. You got enough to participate.
You got the gist.
All right, so let's do a recap of Boomerang. Marcus Graham, played by Eddie Murphy, is an executive at an ad agency, and he is a playboy extraordinaire, okay? This brother is so fresh and so clean. He dresses to the T. Condo is laid out. Every word choice is perfect. He is the smooth operator that Sade was singing about, okay? We see him woo ladies. We see him woo ladies. He's the smooth operator. We see him woo ladies and drop them like hot potatoes. When his friends and co-workers, Tyler, played by Martin Lawrence, and Gerard, played by David Alan Grier, when they call him out, he makes excuses like her feet were ugly. He even tries to use sex to get a promotion when their ad agency gets acquired by a cosmetics company called Lady Eloise by sleeping with senior citizen Lady Eloise, played by Eartha Kitt. It doesn't work, though, because the next day he meets his new supervisor, Jacqueline Breuer, played by Robin Givens, who is even more fresh and even more clean than he is. She is fly, the bomb diggity, in every colloquialism for a woman that got her stuff together, okay? She is the Miss Independent that Neo was singing about, okay? So Marcus wants Jacqueline immediately, but she really doesn't give him any play for a long time. She keeps, trying all of his he keeps trying all of his tactics. And then finally, on her terms, though, they do get together and bam, Marcus is hooked. She's perfect in every way, including her feet, except that she is really not even trying to take him seriously. Suddenly, Marcus finds himself feeling that you could have called feeling that he has inspired in so many women. Jacqueline is using all of his Playboy tactics on him. When all of these head games start to wreck his usually stellar work, Jacqueline tells Marcus to take a few paid weeks vacation to get his ducks in a row. In that time, Marcus gets to know Angela, played by Halle Berry, a co-worker who joined his company's art department when the Lady Eloise merger happened. And he realizes he has feelings for her, but it's a little tricky because he had previously set Angela up with his friend Gerard. It didn't work out, but Gerard still kind of likes Angela, Marcus and Angela do get together and things go so well. She actually moves into his apartment at some point. Marcus is happy, and because he's gotten his confidence back, Jacqueline now wants him again. Marcus cheats on Angela and sleeps with Jacqueline. Angela tells him, love should have brought you home last night. Breaks up with him immediately, moves out, and ends up taking a promotion with another company. Marcus tries to get over her by spending more time with Jacqueline, but it doesn't work. It just makes him realize how much he loves Angela. He ends up going to Angela's job, apologizing to her, and Angela forgives him. And they presumably live happily ever after. The end. So
Very
that's a
good
recap of the movie. There are a lot
Where's my little violin?
There's a lot of little fun characters that that didn't get any play in the recap, but we'll get to those folks. But sis, what made you start with Let Me Get My Violin?
Because I feel like he didn't really learn his lesson. And he still was able to end up with the dopest one.
What lesson? When you say he didn't learn his lesson, what do you mean? Like,
I just feel like he had one time where he got his little feelings hurt because someone played his game better than him. And then now after this one time, he now has just learned it and he now understands, and now he's like fighting for the perfect one. And I'm just like, and he gets her. Like,
sis, it's
okay,
interesting.
Fine.
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't think about him not learning a lesson. And I agree with you. He probably, I don't know, did he become more self-aware? Because there's no point where he actually says the ways that the person that I was not good to people. He never says that. He never owns up to I was being manipulative. So I didn't think about that, but you're right. Maybe he never learned his lesson. What I did think about is how it is tiring to keep seeing the trope of like the man apologizes, the woman takes him back. Because with the truth, like in real life, it's like people are who they are, kind of, and I'm not saying people can't change because people do, but usually they don't. I don't hate, and I'm not, and maybe I'm cynical, I don't know, but I think people are who they are. And but there's something that there's a constant story that women are being told that you just let somebody play your face. But if they say they're sorry and you feel like they mean it, give them another chance.
But here's the other side of that.
Like the guy in the Christmas movies.
But here's the other side of that. I think that Angela was goofy for ever even dealing with him. I'm like, girl, really? You see the type of person.
Well,
so why would you even start dealing with him?
Because that's how life happens.
Well, that's
but to me, life works.
You're finding, that somebody is a player. Like,
doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Well, my statement is that it doesn't matter that it's with him. Someone is a player. That what he does. You were friends with his friends. So I'm assuming y'all have had conversations about that. You already know how he moves, and you're out here getting emotionally attached to someone, and then get shocked when you get cheated on. Girl, you didn't meet some healed version of him. You met him. And honestly, when he was down in the dumps is when you were picking him up. And so I'm just sitting here like, girl, you storming out the house. I'm like, I'm gonna come get girl, you should have never brought your stuff there in the first place.
But that's any other way. That was one of the most realistic parts of the movie, because the guys who, it doesn't matter what, women will always like him. It doesn't matter what they know. Doesn't matter what information they have. I think I like this movie, back in the day where everybody saw it, and I was interested to watch it all these years later. And I still have the same 2 criticisms about this movie. And the first one is, y'all ever see How to Be a Player?
No.
1,000,000 years ago.
Okay, nothing I'm going to say about it. But anyway,
but the audience members, many of our audience members,
How to Be a Player had a similar. That should be on the list.
Yeah,
by the way.
A similar arc.
It had a similar storyline, and the thing that one rang a little more true to me, because Bill Bellamy's character felt a little more corny to me or something. He felt like a guy who would be flowing the way he was flowing. But I think a better story,
and for that, so that Def Jam's How to Be a Player, it came out in 1997.
Yeah,
Bill Bellamy, Bernie Mac.
Yeah, still another classic movie. You know what I mean?
Okay, I added it to the content planner.
Yeah, still a classic hood movie for real. And but I feel like a better storyline would have been Marcus not playing all of these women, but just being unavailable to all of these women. So it's more like he's just a exec, and he's just focused on that, and that's just what he's doing. Because men in his position don't take time to play games. Like they're not. He's not going to be doing all these. He don't have to lie. He doesn't have to lie. He could be like, the one chick, to one chick, he could be like, yeah, I'm going out with another chick. And it doesn't matter because he's in demand. So that would have been a more, to me, realistic, something that would have allowed me to get into the story more. And I think that also, and the other thing is just the casting. There's just the part of the movie where he's going for Robin Givens over Halle Berry. It's just very difficult for me to conceptualize. Because
I don't know why. You just said he's the person who does what he wants.
But what I'm saying is, first of all, Halle Berry's prettier than Robin Givens. And she was nice.
We're not gonna have that conversation.
But you know what? It's not about looks. Looks are a part of it, but it was Jacqueline's whole stilo was what was attractive to him, because she was the equivalent of him in terms of like, just like you said, everybody would want him no matter what. Everybody would want her no matter what.
But I'm saying that would never, like, that just wouldn't happen. There's no way you have, okay, can we say Halle Berry's pretty in the movie?
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Yeah, you have somebody who's being nice to you. You're not going to,
yes, you are.
But what if you're a person that's never been, you've never been a person who's been committed,
I think
you're just getting your sea legs in commitment. You're giving it a try, and then something happens that tests your discipline.
Well, the thing is that even I think because if the what was her name in the movie? Robin Givens' name? Jacqueline. So if I feel like it would have been, for me, it'd have been a better thing if like she hooked up with him right away. And like she kind of blew his mind sexually. And then she retreated, it wasn't even that she was doing it purposely. She's busy too. So she just backed up, and then he fell into a cycle of trying to get on her schedule. And like that would have been, to me, something that would have served the same storyline, but it would have, because if a guy's a player like Marcus, even if he was like that, as soon as he recognized what was happening, he would not have subjected himself to that. That he just wouldn't have. He would have realized what happened or what was going on, and there's just no way he would have kept.
Oh, I struggle with that definitive statement.
Dude, I struggle with it.
And I just, because I'm just like, I think that art imitates reality. And I think that there are many people that believe themselves to be this macho, and this isn't not even macho, but just this player, because this is a person in general, this type of person. And they believe themselves to not be able to get quote unquote played. But when it happens, then it happens. Now, what is the outcome of that? Well, that depends upon the person. That depends upon their reaction, how they handle it, how they move forward. But I do believe that this can be a realistic scenario, but it's a scenario that someone may not talk about. Someone may take to the grave and archive it. Only their closest friends know about it. You know what I mean? It's not like Chris Rock knowing all of it, his character knowing all the business in the whole entire company. But yeah, that's
I just want to be clear. I'm not saying I don't think Marcus couldn't get played. I'm saying as soon as he would have identified very early that I'm getting played, and he would have severed that limb immediately. I just don't.
But he wouldn't even had to sever a limb because she was severing it for him.
Yeah, he would have let it go. He would have chalked it up. He'd have been like, I lost that one, but he wouldn't have continued to pursue her. That's what I'm saying. Like he wouldn't have done that. He would have been like that. Well, even the best of them sometimes, but he wouldn't have kept, pursuing her.
I don't know, bro. I think there's lots of different types out there. I think there's a type that wouldn't have continued to pursue her, and I think there's a type that would. I think we can't box it in. I think the story arc that you just said, bro, I think that's still a very interesting movie. And I think that's another plausible story. I will tell you, like, my girlfriends, are, upwardly mobile, executive level women. And some of the silliness that is encountered in the dating pool, it's really quite interesting, So I would just say, I don't think we should box anything out in terms of.
I'm not. I'm just saying those were just the two plot points.
Yeah, people showing, because we all have dysfunctions and they show up how they show up. And the way that people who are used to wielding power in their lives, the way that they show up in romance, I tell you, that's a whole other kind of podcast to dissect that. But, it can show up in a lot of ways, especially when they aren't getting the power. Like when people aren't reacting to them the way that people usually react to them, the way that they can act out can be really interesting, and some of the stories are, there's some ridiculous stuff happening out here. I mean,
we probably could do a whole podcast on that. Yeah, so.
Well, I mean, we all have our shit. We all got our shit, but it's like the I just wouldn't box out any type, I guess is what I'm saying, bro. Because you're talking that definitive, this guy wouldn't do that. Well, I think there's a guy that might.
Yeah, well, I'm saying for me, that was.
Because also to me, this type of guy, he wouldn't have to do so much buying a leash off of a couple to
that's
go
what
pretend
I'm saying.
like there's a dog in the park.
That's
like
what I'm just saying.
But so that's what I mean when I say this particular character, he did fall for Robin Givens. And he was the one saying, oh, she could be Mrs. whatever his last name is in this movie. This is him saying that. And Graham. And she didn't do anything except be herself the entire time.
Yeah.
And even right down to it being like, oh no, he would have never, gone against Halle Berry. I'm like, but if you're a person that has not learned your lesson, you would cheat on the Halle Berry because you haven't learned your lesson. And so it's like, okay, this is your MO. This is you. So then, and get it, and listen, let's be very clear. There's not one woman in, I will raise my hand 87 times. If I had more hands, I would. You going back and dealing with a dum-dum. And so that is, it just happens.
Well, but sis, I want to raise a question about your language of learning his lesson. Because, I think that people get to decide who they're going to be. And I take it more as like he was trying to decide whether he was going to continue to be a player. And not the stand-up kind that Aubrey was talking about, where it's just like, I'm not engaging deeply. He was being a manipulative player.
Right.
So whether I'm going to continue to be that, or I'm going to be in a monogamous relationship with somebody and go deep. And so I felt like he was just making a choice between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when you were talking about him learning his lesson up at the top of the podcast, I paused a bit because I'm like, that to me feels like there's like an inevitable conclusion. But he could have concluded the other way. Like, no, this doesn't feel good for me to be monogamous, and I'm going to choose to continue to be this other way, know.
But even at the end of the movie, they're having that funny chit chat conversation walking down the street, and she knows who she's getting into. She knows who she's getting with. And she says to him, and you better not turn your head, because she knows who he is. She knows exactly. So there are a lot of people who make those choices to be with individuals that I may have to break up with you again for a few months.
It's true.
Because you may do that again.
It's true.
But she's making the logical decision.
She's
and the
accepting
choice.
Those terms.
She's accepting those terms. And I'm like, I'm not mad at you, girl.
Yeah.
Get you some.
Yeah.
It's like, it's fine. But we're not going to sit up here and pretend like he is some changed person. And he is just, he's seen the light. Absolutely not. He's found somebody that is accepting him for who he is, whether it might be player rehab or he is, still who he is, but he's found someone that's okay with it. And they're making some other terms about their relationship.
We copyright that movie title, Player Rehab. Okay. Coming out in 2024. It's a Wright Perspective production. We're going to make that movie. That's a good title. Yeah. Well, let's talk more about.
Yeah, I wanted to discuss that real quick so that we can talk about Boomerang. Because those are the only two things. And I'm just saying, back then and today, those were still the two things that kind of was in the back of my head.
Yeah.
But the rest of this, it's just amazing how much of a phenomenon that movie was. And just watching it and watching how, I didn't laugh out loud. Because,
you mean at the time when it came out?
Oh, no. At the time, it was like one of those side hurting movies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the first time you saw, I didn't feel, it felt 90s. It did. It felt like the comedy was like 90s comedy. You know what I'm saying? But as far as all the elements of the movie, I just felt like it was just a really great romantic comedy movie of all the little elements of the different people that we have in our life. Like the person who's saying, it's racial, man. It's right. We all have those people. For us, it's Shania. And, for...
Yes, it's funny because it's true.
But I'm just saying, Like, I just remember.
And that's Aubrey's talking about the Martin Lawrence character, Tyler Hawkins. He was the one finding racial conspiracies everywhere.
Everywhere.
And then the other good friend was David Alan Grier playing Gerard Jackson. Those were his main boys.
Yes. And he had, and like, all the people who were in this movie. It's kind of like a Harlem Nights situation. Like, it can only be. How could it be bad? You know what I'm saying? Like when
he always brings together some of the best people in his movies.
Yo, I mean, you even got Chris Rock.
Eddie Murphy. You did an amazing job. You brought together some of the best people.
Even the small parts, like people who just had a couple of scenes, everybody was knocking it out the park.
Tisha Campbell.
Yeah, let's talk about some of those other characters.
Tisha Campbell.
Tisha Campbell's character.
Her character was named Yvonne. Tell us about her, sis. Go ahead.
Oh gosh, she apparently had linked up with Marcus at some point.
Did you think they actually hooked up?
They did.
I think that they did hook up.
I think they hooked up.
And that he did his manipulative thing, as we talked about. And then, of course, he decided not to be with her anymore, probably because she had ugly toes. And so, and so she is, though, his next door neighbor. And she is only a fence apart from his apartment. And his door, for whatever reason, is always open. And so anytime he is bringing over a woman, all you hear in the background, don't believe him, girl. He lying. She's holding up signs. He's going to cheat. He's going to get what you say, all these things, get what he wants, and then be done. And I was laughing like, even though this character is really exaggerated right now, she's very important as well, because you have someone, a lot of women, many times, we have someone telling us the truth. Mm-hmm. We have someone saying to us, girl,
don't do it.
Don't do it. What are you
remember the last time you did it? Don't do it again.
And well, I won't say it doesn't never work.
No, I'm saying in the movie.
But yeah, in the movie.
Yeah, in the movie, it never worked.
It never works.
She was like, there was one point in the movie where she was like, you want me to come over?
I think, right. And then you think we could, and he's like, no. And then, of course, she goes back to her regular MO, which is so funny. But it was nice seeing Tisha Campbell in that character, because you don't see her like that a lot in her other characters. And so it was really, fun to just watch her being up there and being just so absurd. When she had that sign, I said, wait, what's happening right now?
That was so funny.
That's an example. That's an example. What you just talked about right there, that's an example of something I didn't laugh at now. But in the theater, that was hilarious.
It's like, this was my first time seeing it, so I was cracking up.
Really?
Exactly. Yes, I had not seen this movie. I was cracking up. I was like, who wrote this? This is so funny.
When she was like, "Would you about my height, my weight, doggy style?"
I was like, did they actually write lines for her, or did they say improv? I don't know. I feel like she had the improv. I was like, this can't be lines.
Yeah, they probably had 20 different takes of that. They picked which one was funny. Like,
yeah. I'm not typically a Tisha Campbell fan, but she played that neighbor. Like that.
She played that neighbor.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny.
Well, another one of those characters that, again, relatively small role, but they were important. There was a character played by Chris Rock. And I'm trying to get his name here. His name was Boney T. And he was
the perfect name.
He was the mailroom guy.
Yeah.
In the building, literally with the mail cart rolling around with all the gossip. But the role he played was really to be kind of like the rah-rah guy for Marcus, where he'd be like, man, Marcus, you get like, he's like Marcus fan club kind of, Marcus, you gonna let her do you like that, Marcus?
And when you gonna hit that? Because we got a little bet going down in the mail room. Me and 9 other guys. It's just like, what is happening right now? Even him talking about. So let me talk about a raise. I mean, I know I only been here 2 weeks, and I've been on time most of the time. I was like, wait, what? What?
And he is a stand-up.
Like really saying something reasonable. Can we talk about one of my favorite characters? It's gonna be hard to structure me in this one because there was just funny stuff going on.
Yeah.
But like the guy who was the the Caribbean man.
Yes. Let me find it.
The one who works with Marcus, the one who made the Straw J commercial.
Oh, you're talking
Jeffrey
about
Holder.
From
Jeffrey
Annie.
Holder playing Nelson.
Like, that's him from Annie. That's Food Jam.
And I'm gonna tell you, even though I knew that commercial was coming up, when Eddie
Tell
Murphy,
people about it, bro. So
there's a point in the movie where the movie Straw J, who is the model or the personality
played by Grace Jones,
who also killed it, by the way.
Killed that part.
So, and we're gonna talk about her in a second. But Straw J was, she's like Madonna. She's a personality.
Yeah.
And they're making a fragrance, and they're trying to make the commercial spot for the fragrance. And at one point, where Marcus is distracted with all this relationship stuff that's going on, he told one of his people he works with, who's very talented, but he's one that you got to rein in. Like he's
they one call him Nasty Nelson.
Yeah, you got to take his ideas and like whittle down to what's good and acceptable. But it's good. He's good. Yeah. But he gave him free rein. And when they showed that commercial, they showed it at a board meeting. So this is the first time. And it was the timing of the joke was so good because Jacqueline didn't even know that Marcus let him do whatever. So she's like, is it good? He's like, I haven't seen it yet. And just as an audience member, even if it's the first time you saw it, you're about to be like, oh my God, what is about to happen? And whatever you imagined wouldn't apply. Because at the end of the day, you got to see it to really understand. But I mean, it was just very,
it was basically a horror film.
Yes, like a
mini little horror film. Because you know how perfume commercials already they make no sense. Yeah. They have never made any sense. They will never make no sense.
Oscar. Was that Oscar?
What they're trying to do in a perfume commercial is convey how a scent makes you feel. And apparently this scent must make you feel like you in hell. Because that is the visual. It was like a sexual, it was like an erotic, hellish scene.
Wasn't she an alien?
No, she was just
an alien.
We don't know what she was.
Or something.
But the thing about it is, when you're watching this, and you just got to go see the commercial if you haven't seen it, but just watch it. But when you're thinking, this is already off the hook, and this is just a 30-second spot, and you're like, this is already off the hook. Then she gives birth to a bottle of
and it's like, it is the most absurd. It's one of these things where it's like, who thought of this, first of all?
Nasty Nelson.
And he's sitting there so proud of himself, by the way. Nasty Nelson is like, this is his
that's what made it bad. Yeah, he was just looking at it like, my vision is just
it's being realized.
And there's something about his voice and the fact that he always wears the ascot.
Yes.
Because he doesn't present as he would make that type of content.
Right.
Yes. And the reason why you can laugh at it instead of roll your eyes is because they have painted him so clearly as someone that's talented but goes too far.
Right.
And they did it just in one scene. We got a background on him, and it was enough that when he came in on this second scene, we weren't surprised.
Exactly.
The other thing they had done is they had laid a foundation for us with the character Strawn J, who was the subject in the commercial. This was played by let's do it. Because Grace Jones' girlfriend, you figured that out.
You're
Grace
the bomb.
Jones.
I know there was part. I know there was part her in that because Grace Jones is like it back in the Conan movies. She was one of my favorite characters.
She's fierce. She's the original fierce. I don't know any other
warrior,
word.
And you just believe everything that she's doing. Because she's just like that. And when they first came out, it was like because when they introduced her, she was on a chariot drawn by people.
Yes.
And it's just
flown in by a helicopter.
And it was like, we're going all in.
Yes.
And one of those moments that everybody talks about is Grace Jones's scene where she is talking to Marcus at dinner, and she's like, "So when are we gonna fuck?" Marcus is like,
he's like clutching his pearls, like,
yeah. And then she's in the middle of this nice restaurant, and she pulls her leg up in the restaurant, and
to reveal her vagina.
No man can resist this pussy.
And this is the second time. This is the second time that she's really drawn a lot of attention to her private parts. Because in an earlier part of the movie, they were in a meeting where they were just trying to conceptualize what the perfume should smell like. And they're huddling with a chemist, and the actor who played the chemist is Leonard Jackson, who played Lloyd the chemist, who had obviously put a lot of thought and time and care into getting to a perfume scent that he was ready to propose to her. And she smells it and she hates it. And to give him a sense of the scent she wanted, she takes off her panties, her thong, and throws it at him and says, "This is what it should smell like."
I thought she rubbed it on his head.
Yeah, she rubbed it on his face.
Yeah, she put it on his head.
Yeah, she put it on his face.
She took her panties off her butt and put it on her thong right on his head.
This is what it needs.
So they have painted her as this very eccentric character. And so between that and then giving us such a good, clear sense of who Nasty Nelson was, we were ready for that commercial and we were able to buy it. Yeah. You know, as strange as it was, we were ready to buy it. You know, so that I feel like what we're talking to right now is we were talking about the story, and I feel like now we're really talking about some of the writing. Okay, like just in particular, like how the writing and the character development. You know, there were some other characters that again they didn't. They shouldn't have worked. They shouldn't have worked.
How did I forget?
But they did. Do you want to talk about those, sis? The couple?
Yes, John Witherspoon, and I want to remember her name right now.
Her name is BB Drake.
BB Drake, because BB Drake is somebody that I'm not sure if I hope she's still alive. I don't want to kill her. But she is somebody that I don't think she gets enough shine for the type of character she is and how she has been a through line in so many Black productions for us. Her characters may not have always been super big, but we remember things like her being in Martin as Myra. And so we remember her all the time. And so I just want to make sure to name her. BB, thank you. Okay. You holding it down and having a good time, in my opinion, as you're holding it down. But
she's still alive.
They were John Witherspoon and BB, what was her last name? Character. They
Mr.
were
and Mrs. Jackson.
Mr. and Mrs. Jackson. They were Alan Grier's parents. And we only get to see them one time for Thanksgiving. And they come in, and John Witherspoon, they're just these old school parents, country, tell it like it is. She brought in a big pot of chitlins. And she was, they're just, and Alan is so embarrassed, right? Because he is like New York
about, I told you they don't stink if you get the membrane out.
That was another one. Coordinate. That was another one that came from the movie.
And I think Coordinate came from this, and Bam Bam came from this as well.
I didn't know. Does Bang Bang, was that the first time? I thought about that.
I think that Bang Bang is the first time we hear it in Boomerang. I'm not sure. We have to fact check that. But I remember when I saw him do it, I was like, oh, he did this all the time in the Wayans Brothers show. And I was like, okay, so this must be the origination of it. Not unless he pulled it from another character or another time he's done it. But he's
done it a lot, because he did it. I think he did it Friday. It's one of the things he does. But I wonder, Britt, if that is
Boomerang is the initiation.
Yeah, the original.
Well, I have a little trivia about him. Okay, so where did it go? Okay, I gotta find it. Go ahead, and I'll find this. I had a really good trivia about it.
Sure. But him and his wife, they come and they are just whatever the opposite of the life and the persona that Alan Grier's character is portraying. And so he's like businessman, suited up, super calm. He's the friend that which I want to get to their friend dynamic and speak about seeing Black men like that, how much I loved it. We'll talk about that in a second. But he is the friend that feels more deeply. And so you're just not expecting this to be his parents. They come in, his dad has on, what is it, bunny, what was it? Mushrooms. He has on a mushroom shirt that matches the inside of his jacket, that matches his belt. But the other outside of it is gray. It's like, what is happening right now? The mother has fur around her jacket. They're talking about his rabbit, and it's just bringing chitlins, all these different things. He being embarrassing at the table, saying, "This is your girlfriend." Well, y'all, so what? Are y'all getting together? Like, just those questions out of like, mom and dad, are y'all really asking these questions right now? And then even as the wife, her trying to reel them in, and then to make it, just to put icing on, a cherry on top of the icing on the cake, they go and have sex in Marcus's bathroom.
The bathroom.
And come out with their clothes disheveled.
And y'all are not.
And in that perfect way, she walks out chewing gum like nothing has happened.
That's right.
Clothes disheveled.
That scene, and again, it's a fun scene, but it plays an important role in the story. Because number one, it shows, listen, these are upwardly mobile Black people, but these are Black people. Okay. And this is our life. We are all of these things.
Yes.
You know?
We're not
and it was a chance for Angela and to be in an informal, non-work related setting with Marcus, so that we could hear, number one, her and the David Alan Grier character being on the same page to kind of say, we're just friends, you know, and for her to create a space for romantic tension between her and Marcus. But the John Witherspoon scenes were added after filming had wrapped. Okay. Wow. Eddie Murphy demanded that scenes with Witherspoon be added to the film, and Witherspoon picked his own outlandish wardrobe and he improvised his lines.
Well, and you know what?
Honestly, it makes all the sense.
You know what? It felt like that. It felt organic, and it felt, it felt like people's ideas were integrated into the movie. He would, like, if it was almost like if Eddie Murphy knew that this is, like, I would be funny if I did this. Like, that's how the actors are. And he'd be like, yeah, that do sound funny. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it felt. Same with Harlem Nights. Like, it felt like they were able to bring a lot of how they are funny into it.
I think the Hudlin Brothers, I mean, we need to really give these people some shine.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they just figured something out here in terms of cultivating cast. And like, it's just, the writing is always good. The directing is always good. So let's talk a little bit about, and we've already started to hit on it as we're talking about the casting. You know, I have a little tidbit here. Halle Berry was the only actress to audition for the part of Angela. And Eddie Murphy and Reginald Hudlin, they cast her immediately just after seeing her screen test. But Vanessa Williams was considered for the role of Jacqueline. I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that. How do you think that would have gone down?
I think she would have done well. I think she would have done well at being that, because she's played that role in other, shows and movies where she's very businesswoman. I don't have that kind of time. I could see her doing well in that role. I could see her doing well.
I think that for me, it would have eliminated one of my issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, what about two things? Because I could see that one a little more in a sense of, it would have made more sense to me. I would have liked that. Yeah, I would have. Yeah.
I think it would have been a very different character.
But I think she could have did it.
Yeah.
I think she could have pulled that off. And like,
I feel like I have seen her play cutthroat executive. I have not seen her play a player.
You know what? I'm going to be honest. I just had an epiphany. It's just that I hate Robin Givens.
Oh, okay. Say something else, brother. Because when you said earlier, I was like,
No, I stand on that. I stand on that.
That's a weird place to stand.
Yeah, I stand on that. I don't think Robin Gibbons is hot as Halle Berry, but I'm saying.
But as
an actress, you say why?
Yeah, why you don't like her?
Do you remember her relationship with Mike Tyson?
Well, it's so funny because the studio was nervous about Robin Givens being cast as Jacqueline. At the time, she was labeled as a cold-hearted gold digger by the media and the general public during her marriage to Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Hudlin, I don't even know what happened.
Reginald Hudlin felt her public image made her perfect for the part.
Go ahead and look that up. That's all.
She could be seen as a strong woman who could control markets.
This
is IMDb
period.
By the way.
Yeah, but she's just a really, really horrible person.
And you don't actually know her. You only know what is seen on the media. You don't know Robin Givens.
I believe. Okay, I don't know.
You know what she did
I don't
and
know.
What they've told you.
She
might be a saint.
I don't know. I believe Mike Tyson. I could be wrong.
But what did he say, bro? We don't know the deets.
I don't.
That's your homeboy?
Basically, what happened is she got involved with Mike Tyson.
I'm confused.
She got involved with Mike Tyson at the very perfect time. And we could talk about everything she did to him, but
you got to give us a tidbit because, we don't know.
Right? I'm gonna go to YouTube later and just type in those names.
I have two thoughts of Robin Givens. I just remember. Do y'all remember that show, Head of the Class? Wasn't she Head of the Class?
Yes, because she was.
I just remember her in Head of the Class, and then I also think of her. Honestly, I thought she did a good job in this movie. She was so believable and natural, and it's so funny because for some reason, I had not thought of her as a good actress. I had thought of her as a pretty, beautiful actress. Mm-hmm. I was not giving her acting chops the credit they deserved. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I want to take all that back because I felt like she did a good job in this role, especially when you put her next to Lela Rochon. Lela Rochon played a little role. She played one of the women that Marcus duped. And she, from an acting perspective, she has evolved over time. But at that particular season in her acting journey, she was not top notch.
Is she Sunshine?
Sunshine?
Yeah, you're talking about. She was the one with the ugly feet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she played Sunshine.
She was the first woman that he kind of played. Her the character's name was Christy.
Yeah.
That we got a chance.
Yeah, she played Sunshine in Harlem Nights.
Okay, I was like Sunshine. Okay.
I gotta remember that.
Her character's name, because I want to say no, was Christy, not Sunshine. Okay. Huh? But anyway, it wasn't a major character. It was a woman that he played her face or whatever. Yeah. But the point is, somehow I had put Lela Rochon and Robin Givens. I had put them both in that category of girl, you pretty, but you might not be acting that well. But I thought Robin Givens did a great job with this role.
I thought she did as well.
Yeah, I don't have the context of who she is as a person, bro, that could have potentially colored how I was experiencing her.
She did. She did a good job.
Well, something I want to name, there are two things I want to name, and it's about the essence, I guess you could say, of the movie. So wasn't this movie supposed to be like the first time you're in a corporate setting and it's all Black people in this corporate building? Like that was a large part of the movie. I can't remember that, I remember someone saying that.
Well, it was a big deal.
I've not done no research.
Yeah, I actually saw an interview where Eddie Murphy was on Jay Leno, and apparently some critic had called the movie a reverse world because there was no white people, and it was like, where are the leaders? There, where's the leaders? There's no white people, and Eddie Murphy just laughed at it. Yeah, he just laughed at it. He was like, it's so funny. He was like, if it's a movie like Boys in the Hood and there's no white people, nobody misses them.
No one's questions.
And he was like, because of the nature of the content, he was like, but you put us in a business setting and they're like, well, where are the supervisors? Like, this is what he was saying on Jay Leno. And he and Jay Leno were just laughing like, gosh, what clear bias that you think you can't have a Black company run full of Black people, run by Black people.
I mean, an entire building. And what I loved about it, now, of course, some of the stuff that Eddie Murphy was saying to some of the women as he's walking through, to me, I'm listening to very innocent, but I was laughing to myself like, you couldn't do that in 2023. You would have many sexual harassment cases against you. Absolutely, because he's like, "Hey, sweetie, how you doing? Looking good." All these different things. Like, this is him saying this, and so I was like, "I love this," and I probably shouldn't, but I was like, "I love this" because it's like a freedom that was happening. Also,
and Jacqueline too, because she had a whole
sleeping with their direct report.
Yes, like that were so. I was just sitting here like, but then also seeing that Chris Rock didn't get reprimanded for being like, Marcus, man, what you doing, man? He didn't get reprimanded for that. It was just like, he was like, all right, whatever, like, okay, and laughing it off because that's just who he is. When he is going and he's like, Nasty Nelson, he's not like, listen, you got one more time, you about to get fired. It's just like, Nelson, take out the banana in the commercial, please. Just he can't be on a banana.
When they was doing that commercial, it was like, those bananas.
It was like this is it. Thinking, man? Exactly. It's like we're going to get work done, but it's also
Nelson,
like
you nasty.
You nasty. And here's the other side of it. Not even when I think about it more. Not only was it a Black company, and you also had it merging with another Black company.
That's right.
He didn't bring any white people in. And so the only time you saw was the board of, I don't know who it was that they were trying to sell the commercial. But it was just a very, very and even then they were from another country. And so I loved seeing this relaxed essence of there are people in this place that don't feel threatened and they can be themselves.
Yes.
And this is something that for Black people is a discussion of how you're at a workplace and you're putting on a mask as soon as you walk in.
A shoulder pad, if you will.
Oh, Lord. You're putting on a shoulder pad. You're putting on a shoulder pad. So you can make it through the day. And so here you have this movie of individuals who are able to be unapologetically themselves.
Yeah,
look at
that shoulder.
They're doing it how they would do it.
That's
yes. Right. Like we're still getting things done. We're one of the top companies. We have a 20-story building. Like exactly. Like we're doing great. And now you're in here and you're seeing it and it doesn't feel like, and they also are not, having to make this claim about it, and which is fine when movies do, I love it, right? Because what we just did, what is it called? Stand Up, the movie Wake Up. What am I trying to say? Y'all know what I'm saying.
I don't know.
School Days.
Okay.
So we just did School Days. And so you can have those overt things, but then sometimes where it's subtle, it's
you mean Wake Up?
Yeah, Wake Up. Yeah, okay. I said Stand Up at first, and then I said Wake Up. It still didn't help though.
You're right, bro, because they didn't even mention it.
I didn't mention it.
You don't need to.
We're just living life, and this is what all those others movies do. They will be in Friends, the show Friends. You're in New York City, in Brooklyn, I think, in Central Park, wherever you are, and there are like 0 people of color. What are we doing right now? Mm-hmm. So it's so easy for it to happen in these other spaces, but and that part of the interview, like that's probably what I'm thinking of when I'm like, yeah, they were talking about that there's no white people in the building. And so that part to me, and they didn't even do anything where it was like, oh, all the execs are Black people, and then all the people who are like the maintenance people and the mail rooms are all white people. It wasn't a trope. It was like just the world they were living in. Just, that's it. And they were just living regular life. And the other thing I wanted to name was the friendship that the 3 men had. I appreciated so much that it wasn't some, we're all the same. All 3 of them are players, all 3 of them are, nerds. All 3 are, no, they were 3 distinct people. 2 of them, they had been knowing each other since they grew up. I think one of them, they had went to college and they were emotional towards one another. They were like, yeah, you clearly hurt my feelings. And I also am concerned about how you're going to treat her because you do not treat women well. And so when you have Alan Grier's having his conversation with Marcus, but also you can tell there's some hurt because it's like, you're my homeboy and there's this unspoken thing where we don't mess with other women that, we've talked to and all these. So you see those underlying things, but it does not break their friendship. It doesn't stop them from making up and having friends and even having, Martin's character come out and make sure he's invited both of them to the house to be like, listen, not saying it. He says it directly. Y'all need to make up. This is an issue. This is a problem. Y'all need to talk about it. What's wrong? Like, y'all need to get it together. And I just really appreciated seeing that dynamic.
It was a very authentic friendship.
Them hugging. I was just like, yes, I love this. So anyway,
and I just wanted to make sure to name that. On this topic of stuff that was just so authentically Black without it working too hard, we have to talk about the soundtrack real quick.
Before we go on that, I did want to say one thing. We're kind of talking about acting throughout the whole thing. And I think Alan Grier did a great job.
He did.
But acting. But I do feel like he was underused in the comedic space. And I know everybody can't be funny, but Alan Grier is hilarious. And I just missed it. He did great. I don't but like, do y'all remember the episode of Martin where he did 2 episodes as a preacher?
Yeah.
I mean,
where he was a pastor that really had no self-control.
He was get behind me.
Get behind me, Satan. And like when he was singing, I gotta feel everything.
Wait, and every episode of In Living Color.
Yes, him and Kim Wayne's character when they were, what is it, Reby and something?
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, he had some of the best characters on Living Color. You know what I'm saying? Like, you remember when he was I wrote a song about it, but here you go.
Like, here you
go. And I just wish I could have seen him do something funny. You know what I mean? He was more of almost like a serious actor in the
He was, space, but he did a good job.
He did a great job.
It was like watching him and Tisha Campbell not be who they normally are.
And I appreciate that because Martin Lawrence was already filling that role in the trio. Martin Lawrence was being silly. He was bringing the punchline.
No, you're right.
Both had done it. It might have been overkill.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And it's good to see a little range.
Yeah, they did. Everybody did a great job.
But let us take a moment just to give him his shine. Thank you for that, bro. Because it's
Dave
Allen.
Are
you getting your flowers?
I'm just saying,
you need some flowers, David Alan Grier.
He has a new movie coming out next year. It's called the League of Super. Okay, I have to look it up because I want to get the name right. So please continue to talk about him.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying. I think he's one of those.
Society of Magical Negroes.
Yes, that's coming out next year. I can't wait for that to come out.
I'm just saying, I'm seeing that first day, whatever it is.
It's going to be
I just feel like he's one
March
of those people.
March 22nd.
That don't. I just think he's one of those people that don't get enough props.
Absolutely.
I don't think he get enough props of because his timing. Like, remember when he used to play Maya Angelou? I'm just saying, like
he's amazing.
He's a funny guy. But you were going to the soundtrack. I'm gonna tell you.
Yes. But
I've been banging this soundtrack,
and we didn't talk about Martin.
And Aubrey said it the first day that we were like, "Oh, this is the next movie we're watching." He immediately texted us and was like, "Yo, this soundtrack." He was like, "It's so
because that's we always talk about when soundtracks were important.
When they meant something,
and that was at the height of the meat. And so I'm gonna let they. Knocked that soundtrack.
Let me do the little trivia from IMDb on it. So the soundtrack album to Boomerang was tremendously successful on the music charts and is widely considered a magnum opus of Black R&B music in the early 90s.
Yes.
Come on,
the soundtrack sold 3 million copies, achieving triple platinum status. The album was executive produced by L.A. Reid and Kenneth Babyface Edmonds.
Oh, well, we're done here. That's why.
Contemporary R&B, urban soul, New Jack Swing, hip hop soul, and several popular chart-topping ballads that are considered classics by R&B soul artists such as Toni Braxton, Boyz II Men, PM Dawn, Johnny Gill, and Keith Washington.
Okay, we got the Ruffin Brothers producing and directing, and then we have L.A. Reid and Babyface.
I mean, what are we talking about?
Like, we're done. We just only had to read off those names. You know what's good? Go listen to it.
And it's in the 90s. You understand?
Exactly.
Like this is when, this is back when people was wearing cross colors and stuff. Like we had on African medallions and you know what I'm saying, cowrie shell.
I was young during that time,
and just it was just like
take me back.
I'm just saying, it was
gas was
96
cents.
Yo, I'm just saying, and like that song, there's so many songs that are still like PM Dawn, Die Without You. I still play that through normally. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. Like, come on. End of the Road by Boys to Men.
I mean,
There You Go, Johnny
song.
Don't Wanna Love You by Shawnice. What? Okay, and then 2 Toni Braxton songs, Give You My Heart, and also Love Should Have Brought You Home.
Love Should Have Brought You Home last night.
It's Gonna Be All Right by Aaron Hall featuring Charlie Wilson. Tonight Is Right by Keith Washington. I Die Without You.
Read that title again.
Tonight Is Right. Okay.
Tonight Is Right.
7 Day Weekend by Grace Jones. Okay. Reversal of a Dog performed by Damian Dame. Highland Place Mobsters, TLC and Toni Braxton. And Feels Like Heaven by Kenny Vaughn and The Art of Love, and Hot Sex performed by A Tribe Called Quest.
And all of those songs, when they were playing them, they all were relevant. It was like
to the scene.
To the scene.
Totally.
Even though there are songs that can stand alone, it's like when you watch the music videos, you almost forget that they were part of a soundtrack. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like,
when it's
done. That is right. That it is part of a soundtrack. But because sometimes they'll write songs for soundtracks, and it's like 2 on the nose. It's like,
right.
We're walking through a door, and it's like, okay,
boomerang, boomerang. Like,
right. No, that's it.
My love is like a boomerang.
Love is like a boomerang. Like,
exactly.
Like, all right, y'all. Like,
we got it again. Yeah.
Oh, that was like the movie Best Man. There was a song in there, I think it was by Faith, and she was like, "Your best friend, your best man." I just did.
Brittany, that is a perfect.
It was still a bang.
That is a perfect.
Literally, they watched the movie and then wrote the song. We're gonna write a song about this
your best
movie.
Man, your best friend. I bet you didn't know that. I love it so much. That's my shit.
I love that song now.
Here comes you have black. Galaxy Defender.
Yes. It's about the movie. Listen, in case you were confused about it.
Yes.
Don't be anymore.
Don't be anymore. But this soundtrack, y'all, I mean, it really, truly was so well done. And you understand why it hit triple platinum. And I feel like at some point they must stop counting because it's these songs are still getting played.
Well, I don't think they ever stop counting, but it's hard now that music is.
It's not albums anymore.
You can't, nobody. I mean, think about the last time you purchased a CD, and or even because I subscribe like a lot of people, but you don't buy individual. All that stuff. This definitely was a CD that was in every collection. If we were taking a vote, it feels like this soundtrack would be a classic from the Wright Perspective. Now, I mean the soundtrack. It's got songs that if only those 2 songs were on, it would still be.
I mean, Toni Braxton, come on. Come on now. What are you doing?
Let me tell you something.
What are we even talking about?
Toni Braxton has one of my favorite Christmas CDs that I play in my car year round. And I literally have it in there right.
Let me stand in front of the church and give a testimony to validate what she says.
Her voice is hypnotizing.
I'm like, Brittany, it's
hypnotizing.
It's March. Christmas is not nearby.
But of that era, this movie is just one of those.
Yes.
The movie, the soundtrack, and now that and the thing I love about it is, I didn't even think about them being all Black companies. Because they just did it.
It's just what it was. It wasn't like a whole big thing.
It's a Tuesday.
Before we got to talk about Eartha Kitt though, because
sorry, Eartha.
Because shame. I still laughed out loud at Marcus, darling. I mean, and then when she was like, I'm not wearing any pants.
I said, Eartha, yes. You better not have no panties on, girl.
Well, I actually, because I wasn't going to do it because we were tight on time, but I have a little trivia about that.
Excellent.
Which is that Eartha Kitt initially she didn't want the role because the character was too crass. There were some things in it that were even more crass than what we saw. What? And so, yes, I don't know what it was, but they had to cut it back in order for her to sign on.
Wow. But you know what, though?
So that is the cut back.
That's the curve. So it says Eartha Kitt was reluctant to take the role of Lady Eloise because she found some of her lines offensive. The lines were deleted from the script.
This is why I love her and Grace Jones' characters, because they were these two beautiful, amazing, classic, seasoned Black women, and they're in these roles being every man wants this pussy, and then and then you have Eartha Kitt coming out in lingerie. I was just like, I'm loving every second of all of this.
He is gay. You're not gay. You just don't want to fuck me. My brother is gay.
And I looked up. I was like, "Is she French? What is this accent, Grace Jones?"
Oh, yeah,
and she's not. She's Caribbean.
Is she?
Did y'all ever see Conan? I know this is a silly
Caribbean
question, but have y'all ever saw Conan?
I feel like I've seen Conan, but you know what?
I mean,
but I'm just saying she's
show?
I've always been a big fan. She's great, though.
Xena. I remember Xena. I don't remember Conan too much, though. For sure.
All right, so we're gonna vote.
I love
this conversation, man. We was just going down.
We was in
the
zone. We vibing.
We were just going down memory lane.
Yes.
Back
and I don't know if y'all can hear it, but my baby Skylar is clearly vibing with us as well.
We can.
Can y'all hear her talking in the background?
You got your new noise canceling.
Okay, well, let me just say,
I respect the fact that you haven't shaken. I respect that.
Like, you have be in on our conversations, honey.
Listen, she has so much to say about every single thing that's happening in this here life. Okay. And she has been weighing in on this podcast. Okay, and I don't know. Some of it she liked, some of it she didn't.
Gotcha.
And sometimes she was in alignment, sometimes she wasn't, because she can only hear my part. She can't hear y'all.
I wish they could hear that high pitched squeal that she does. That is so funny. It's like, you are into it, Skylar. Yes,
but y'all, it's so cute. When me and Brittany are talking on video, Skylar, she's in the conversation. She's literally talking the whole time. Where it's like, okay, baby, be quiet. We're using English. I don't know what language you're using.
And she'll lean herself towards the phone. Yes. Skylar, where you going?
Oh gosh. Anyway, so yeah, she's ready for us to vote. We voting Skylar.
We vote.
Okay.
We vote.
Do it, bro.
Well, yes. Obviously, Boomerang gets my bottle of Strange. Not only just because I just think it was tightly written. It was tightly written. It was all the plot had these little setups and payoffs. Everybody was running at the top, and then even for the music, acting, just everything. And I love the thing that Brittany brought up, because I didn't even think about that, of how this was just an example of people just living, Black people just living, Black people, and they didn't even need to have a scene where it's like, we are the top Black company. They didn't have to say none of that. It's just like, yo, this is what we're doing.
500.
And the reason why, and it shows that it was so well done, because I didn't even think about that. Mm-hmm. And like, that's what makes it so, because that's what you want. You want it to be normal, that you don't even notice you know what I mean? What's happening. Like, this is a thing. That's what normalizing.
Yeah.
So yes, it is absolutely a classic in my book. It gets my bottle of Strange.
Yeah. And by the way, the actual imagery we're going to use is going to be generic perfume bottle, just so you know. So that's what's going to pop up on the screen. I don't know if we can actually use this Strange bottle.
Listen,
it probably would be fine, but
generic perfume
no problems. No problems from anybody.
Well, I will tell
I only
you,
got $12.
This movie does get my bottle of Strange (parentheses generic perfume bottle) in terms of the visual, because Because if you change the wardrobe and you just put them in current day clothing, this movie would still be good.
Yeah.
Okay. If you change the wardrobe and you put them in 70s clothing, this movie would still be good.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have to change a word except to probably change something from a fax to an email. I don't even know. But it would be so minimal to change it because of how well the characters are written.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything that they came out of their mouth felt real. The comedy in the movie was so seamlessly integrated. None of it was like slapstick and over the top. I related to every single one of these characters. And I'm just remembering like when we were reviewing School Days a couple of weeks ago. And I was trying to decide whether to make it a classic. I had to factor in because there were things I was struggling with, like the fact that it didn't show a complete and well-rounded view of a college experience.
Yeah.
It didn't. So there were things that were lacking that I had to talk myself through to be able to kind of like decipher, like it, to be able to evaluate it. I don't have any reality checking that I have to do for this movie. I don't have to talk myself into
That's a good point.
Anything.
That's a good point.
There was no gap. You know? And I'm going to tell you, if this exact same movie happened and it was not with actors that we already knew and loved, like say it was our first time seeing these people, it was good. You know how sometimes you watch a movie and you like it because you like that person.
Yeah.
And you're in it for that person. This movie was so well done that it was bigger than all of the great actors that were individually in it.
I think about Eddie Murphy and how when he does things and he does his projects, I feel like he sits down and goes, now how many Black people can I bring along? Like, and I feel like he almost says to himself, he's written the movie and then he sees someone that he goes, I got to get you in here. Let me create a character. Like, I feel like those are the things that happens with these types of productions for him when he's involved. And I will love that forever. I always appreciate someone who is saying, I didn't just get on for myself. Yes, I want to be successful, but I am very aware of the limited opportunities that my people have. So I need to make sure I'm widening those opportunities for them to have and to them to enjoy themselves and for them to be in a safe space and for my audience to see themselves in ways they have not. Not even if they don't even realize they're not seeing themselves in that way, that they've never seen it. I just need to make sure they see it. And even if they have, they need another one. And I will always appreciate him for doing those things. I'm saying it like he's dead. Hey, Eddie, how you doing? You're not dead. And so, but I just
still look 35.
Thank you for telling him he's not dead.
I just don't guess he was
dead.
He was concerned. And so, that alone for me gives this movie my Strange bottle of perfume. The fact that it is unapologetically us.
Yeah.
In every way, shape, and form. The from the country chitlins to the corporate, I am a marketing, I'm a CEO, I'm a CFO, I own an entire company.
Yeah.
I did the merger. Yeah. Like, it is seeing that in that is enough. But when you add on top great acting, it was funny, it had you into the movie. You're kind of talking to it. And if you've seen it before, you're waiting for certain parts to come up, because I've seen it on BT, but I didn't see it in its totality. This is the first time I've seen it. Yeah, in its totality.
Oh, that's dope. So it was kind of the first time for both of y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when it came out, it was like, I was young. When it came out in what year? What was it? 80? What?
92.
92. So I'm like, our parents were not letting me see anything like that.
Yeah.
No way.
So seeing it, it was just like,
I was 10 or 9.
So then I had to be 7?
Yeah.
Or 6. And so absolutely not seeing this at all. And so I just think seeing that even alone, just being able to see, I'm like, yeah, I can see this being a classic. I can see this being something I will watch for years to come. And then I will make sure that, if given opportunity to have my own family, my children will watch this. Like, we're going to make sure that this stays within our community. Absolutely. They will be in the place. Skylar will it'll be a cousin night, right?
Yes,
cousin, auntie, uncle night. Like it is happening. So, so yes, it definitely gets my bottle of Strange.
Yay! Well, y'all, there you have it. Boomerang has 3 bottles of Strange, therefore it is a classic from the Wright Perspective. This was a fun one, bro and sis.
Yeah,
oh gosh. And I think you might have put this one on the content planner long ago. I'm sorry.
I don't remember. If I
We've
did,
been throwing out so much stuff.
It's a long list. It's a long list. And thank you all. Thank you all for tuning in. Audio, our video, our listeners, our viewers, y'all. Listen, we thank you. We love you. Subscribe, follow, keep giving us those great comments, and we look forward to engaging. Talk to you soon, bro, sis. Love you.
Love you.
And thank everybody.